Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. My name's Stephanie and today I'm going to be showing you my favorite cottagecore shades. So if you don't know, cottagecore is basically this very simple and sustainable kind of lifestyle where you're pretty much living off the earth, growing and making your own food, ideally while wearing these cute flowy milkmaid dresses, living in a cute little cottage in the middle of a wildflower field. The vibes are just so immaculate. If you look up cottagecore images on Pinterest, it's like, who wouldn't want that kind of lifestyle? Though admittedly, I don't know if I could be a cottagecore girl because I don't really love bugs and being out in nature to that extent, but I definitely would love to enjoy the lifestyle through these nail polish picks. And I'm so excited because these shades really came together for me where I just have this vision in my head. So I'll talk more about it at the end. For now, let me show you my favorites. The first shade I have is ILNP's Willow, which just recently came out in the Wildflowers collection. I do think that whole collection can also work with this theme, but I especially love this bright lime green. I feel like it's the exact shade of green that you see in all of those photos with wildflowers. Initially, my first choice for this theme was ILNP's Clover, which came out in last year's Fairy Forest collection, but I like this shade a little bit more. Also because I really love willow trees and I think they are just so whimsical, so I just had to include this one. Next I have ILNP's Fawn, which is this beautiful, soft, coppery brown magnetic polish that is obviously named after a baby deer. It gives me total Bambi vibes. I just love this shade and I love it to represent the wildlife that you might be living with. Like obviously the name is alluding to deer, but I think this shade can also really work for any kind of other cute fuzzy creature like little bunnies or chipmunks. I think it does look really nice on its own. But of course I am going to show this with the velvet technique because that's just my preferred way of wearing magnetics. I feel like it creates this really plush and soft kind of look, maybe reminiscent of fur, but either way it looks gorgeous even if you do a cat eye effect. Next I have Mooncat's Fields of Elysium, which came out in the Persephone collection earlier this year. It's this really muted, dusty sage green that has this super glowy purple shimmer, as well as a dainty hollow sprinkling. You might remember in my Fairy Core video, I actually shared Cirque's Succulent Garden, which is kind of similar to this shade, but a little bit lighter, which is why I put it with that fairy theme. But this one being a little bit more earthy and muted, just really gives me more of those cottagecore vibes, and I just love that contrasting shimmer. This next shade is Nailpollies Let's Get Ready to Crumble, and I obviously had to include this one because it is inspired by bread. I feel like baking bread is just such a staple of a cottagecore lifestyle. At first, I was struggling to find the perfect polish that's like bread colored, but then I remembered this one, and with the bread cap, how could I not include it? But the polish itself is also super beautiful. It's like this tan beige kind of color that's packed with these golden flakes and shimmers, so I think it makes it a little bit more of an exciting kind of neutral. Keeping on with the food theme, the next polish I have is Nailpollies Cran-berrily Believe It, which even though is based off of cranberries, I chose this one to represent any kind of red berry fruit jam because I feel like that is also another staple in a cottagecore kitchen, which ties back into the whole theme of being sustainable, growing your own fruits and veggies, making your own sauces and jams. I feel like this color was just such a great representation of that, but more specifically the fruity jams. Like I've made strawberry syrup before by muddling some strawberries, boiling them with sugar and water, and it basically turned out this color, so I was really happy about that. I think it just gives it that sweet, syrupy kind of look. Next I have Cirque Colors Linen, which I did share in my last video for my favorite ballet core shades, so I'm really sorry to repeat it, but I feel like I just had to include it because this shade immediately brings to mind freshly washed linen sheets hanging outside on a clothesline in the sunshine, or some beautiful linen curtains that are blowing in the breeze of your open window, or maybe it's even reminiscent of those white linen kind of dresses. I'm not sure how many people actually actually love wearing linen. I feel like some people really hate it, but I definitely love the look of white flowy dresses. Next, I have Death Valley Nails Wildflowers. This is from her Dust to Dust collection, which means this polish is made with actual dried, crushed up wildflowers. It is the most beautiful topper. I absolutely love how it looks, especially over a sheer milky white. And I especially love the idea of making a polish with real flowers. It's so beautiful. The next shade I have is Ave Cloudy, which came out a couple of spring seasons ago, and this is the lightest blue that you will ever see. It really does look like a white, but when compared to other white polishes, you do see the drop of blue, and I absolutely love that. I know these types of shades are not for everybody, where it's so light, it's practically white, similar to polishes that are so dark, they basically look black, but I think having this super soft and airy light blue is just so fresh. Next, I have Ave Sprout, which is a very, very light green with a little drop of yellow that is meant to symbolize the new growth of spring, not just in the world around us, but also for anybody who grows their own herbs. I know this shade of green is not the exact shade that I think of when I think of fresh herbs, but I did just like the idea of the name, and I also just really like this color. I think this is a nice, light, and soft option. Up next, I have Cirque Colors Pebble, which is one of their speckled polishes, which I feel like I have not talked about enough. This one is kind of a beige crelly that is absolutely packed with these super, super tiny black microflecks in some slightly varying sizes, but none of them are too big, and they really just give your nails that perfect speckled look. I really love this one as another earthy, neutral kind of shade, and I think the name is so cute too. And my last polish is another earthy, rock-inspired shade. This is OPI's Peace of Mined, which I believe came out in a fall collection a couple of years ago. It's this really beautiful gray cream with a little hint of warmth. I think this is the best polish in my collection, at least, that really represents the color of the stones that you see cottages made out of. I was really struggling to find a perfect match. Like, the grays that I have weren't really quite hitting right, and I didn't have any other kind of taupey shades, so I feel like this was the best. It might not be super on point, but I see the vision. And here is a look at my Cottagecore collage. I absolutely love this lineup. I just think it's so pretty. I feel like I struck a good balance between the light, fresh, airy spring options and then a couple of earthy neutrals. And I love the pop of color with that cranberry fruit jam inspired shade. So that wraps up my favorite cottagecore shades. As always, I would love to know what you think of this aesthetic and my choices for it, because I really am so happy with them. I feel like I just immediately had an idea of what this color palette would look like, and it was so fun to just go through my collection and to try to just match those vibes. But this was just such a blast to put together, so I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know if you would be interested in living a cottagecore kind of lifestyle. And of course, make sure to let me know any other aesthetics that you would want to see in this series. Like I mentioned a couple of times already, I am going to be doing a mermaid core one real soon. I did also get a few requests for some Barbie core shades, which you know I'm going to do. But if there's any other suggestions that you have, feel free to leave them down below, or leave any and all thoughts that you have so we can chat about it. But thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!